Watch out for those weirdos.
We are the weirdos, mister.
Welcome back to the Final Ghouls of Horror. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Holly.
And I'm Elle.
We're three people who love horror and are coming at it from different perspectives of who we are, as well as very different levels of experience with the genre, which we're always excited to talk about. And this week, we're getting problematic with our mental health and waiting for the big twist with M. Night Shyamalan's Split.
There's a flower on the pillows, a flower in the bathroom, like we're important. Who is that? Maybe she can help us.
We're here! We're in here!
Don't worry. He knows what you're here for. He's not allowed to touch you. He knows that.
My name's Hedwig. I have red socks.
How old are you?
9?
The human brain is the most complex object in the universe.
The only way we're getting out of here is if one of them decides to let us out.
Aren't you the clever one?
All right, so I know we're gonna have we're gonna have a particular discussion about this from one of those. So let's start with you first, Elle, because I think you're going to be shorter. How familiar are you with M. Night Shyamalan and his films? Had you seen Unbreakable? Had you seen Sixth Sense, which I'm sure we will cover at some point, or any of his other films?
So I am most familiar with him via the medium of Robot Chicken.
Fair.
Where it's just, as a random side gag. But I actually have seen The Village, I think it is.
Ooh, that is definitely a movie of his that exists.
I can't recall why I chose to watch it and how I felt about it, except I'm thinking about it and it's probably not much. But other than that, no, if I've seen anything else from him before this, I don't know that it was his.
Okay, fair enough. Holly, go. We've been waiting for the M. Night Shyamalan discussion for a while. You've obviously, we talked about it a bit with, I don't remember which episode it was, which film it was.
I don't know either. I can't remember what was said.
Oh, it was Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Yes, yeah. We both realized at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was that rumor. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know you have strong feelings about this particular filmmaker.
I do.
To be fair, most people do. One way or the other. I obviously have my thoughts, but the floor is yours. How do you feel about M. Night Shyamalan?
First of all, it all starts with a little girl loving horror back in 1999 when a little film called The Sixth Sense came out. And everyone was like, this is the most incredible thing you will ever see in your entire life. So I was excited. I was very excited. My expectations were sky high.
Mm-hmm.
Only to be shot down by M. Night Shyamalan, which would be the first of many, many, many times. I hated The Sixth Sense. I thought it was awful. We will get on that when we do it one day.
Holly?
Then was The Village next. I think The Village was the next one that I saw. And that one more angered me because I know the lawsuit was dropped, but he stole that idea from a book that I was reading around that same time, which is how I figured out the twist.
Right.
Because I was like, wait, I've seen this before, or I've read this before. And because of that, even though the lawsuit was dropped, that book was not able to be made into a movie, which is what I wanted. So that right there, that was one of my favorite books at that age. And that right there pissed me off so much and started my true hatred with M. Night Shyamalan, who became public enemy number 1. Then I had a friend, and this friend was obsessed with M. Night Shyamalan. And she was like, no, it's going to be fine. We're going to go to the movies and watch his new movie, The Happening.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah. When plants attack. Yeah, I was describing that movie to Austin last night, and like, his facial expressions, he's like, that was a choice for a film. It sure was.
It's, oh my god, The Happening. Yeah, yeah, that's a thing. I've got my own thoughts on it.
And then there's Signs. My parents were obsessed with Signs. And upon watching it the first time, I was like, okay, it's an alien movie. There are some funny bits. It's fine. This one character is really annoying me. And then I realized that one character was played by none other than M. Night Shyamalan.
Yep.
Yeah. And then it hit a point where I just stopped.
Fair.
I stopped watching his movies. Because when someone toxic is in your life, you need to cut them out. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
Until somebody was like, hey, we're going to do an M. Night Shyamalan film.
Yep. No, that's fair. Did you see at any point during that toxic relationship with a man you've never met and has never met you, did you ever see Unbreakable?
No, I did not.
Okay.
So I was a little lost on this.
That is fully fair.
I looked up information about it after I watched this movie.
That is fully fair. I have a somewhat complex relationship to Shyamalan's movies. I definitely don't have the hatred that you have for him. I do think I understand if the twist being ruined, that hurts a lot of The Sixth Sense. I still think it's a good film.
It was obvious. Sorry, we will get into that when we do it.
But it's obvious because you read a book that he may or may not have plagiarized.
No, that's not Sixth Sense. That was The Village.
Wait.
Yeah, no.
Oh, sorry.
No, I think the twist in Sixth Sense is the most obvious thing in the world, but apparently I'm in the minority.
You're in the minority there.
Yeah, I will go into it further when we do cover it one day.
Yeah.
But I have my reasonings.
But even the twist aside, which I acknowledge, I, like most of the world, I did not see coming. Even if you set that aside, like I've rewatched Sixth Sense, I do think it is a good film. It is well acted. It is well directed. There are some legitimately creepy moments in it, and scary moments in it. But I liked Sixth Sense. I loved Unbreakable. I thought Unbreakable, and still think Unbreakable, is Shyamalan's best film. I think it is incredibly well made. Again, phenomenally acted. And it was the film that Sixth Sense made Shyamalan a star and made him the twist director. Unbreakable just reinforced that. And then after those two movies, Shyamalan was kind of a wunderkind. he was kind of the thing in Hollywood. Then he made Signs, which I think is an absolutely overrated film. I that's my movie where everybody loves it, and I'm like, it is a preachy ass movie. It has a few good moments. I'm not gonna disagree with that. The alien reveal scene is very good. I like some of the performances. I do not particularly like Mel Gibson's performance. I think his performance is not one of his better ones. And then it's really the first movie of Shyamalan's where it gets not only incredibly preachy, but also weirdly saccharine and sappy in parts that don't feel like they come together with the rest of the tone well. Then he made The Village, and I fucking hated The Village.
Yeah, that's the one that...
Yeah, sorry.
The book. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to confuse.
No, you're good. And then he made, I believe The Happening was after that, and that shit... it's such a... Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm incorrect. Then he made Lady of the Water, which was also not a good movie.
I blocked that one from my mind.
That one, it's better than The Village, but it's also, that is the one where he gets super preachy and pretentious and casts himself as the man who's going to save the world.
Wait, which one?
Lady in the Water.
Oh, okay.
Because he's the writer who...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Then he made The Happening, which was... I mean, there's a reason why Mark Wahlberg, who is an actor that I like generally, his performance is considered to be on par with Nicolas Cage in The Wicker Man in terms of all-time bad 2000s level horror performances. And it's not Wahlberg's fault either. It's that is apparently, this is apocryphal. I don't have anything that absolutely, like, I've never seen an interview where they've said this. I've never seen Shyamalan acknowledge this, but my understanding is every bad performance in that film, because it's not just Mark Wahlberg. Zoe Deschanel's performance is bad. Like, everybody's performance is bad. And supposedly those were specifically the performances that Shyamalan was looking for, which is mind-boggling to me. It's been kind of rediscovered now. It hasn't gotten a huge reappraisal, but there are people who have argued in the years since, oh, that's all intentional. It's really a horror comedy, and people are just missing the humor in it. I'm like, no, it's a movie with a very good opening, like jaw-droppingly good opening sequence.
Mm-hmm.
And then nothing happening of value after that. Then he made The Last Airbender.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that one.
Which up until The Last Airbender, I would always say, okay, he's clearly showing issues in his writing. I am not enjoying his scripts, but he can direct. He can, like, I don't like The Happening, but it is an incredibly well shot film.
Yeah.
And as a director, he's good in it. The Last Airbender is incompetent on every level.
What idiot was like, we're making a Last Airbender movie. You know who should direct this? M. Night Shyamalan.
Paramount Pictures, that's who. It's incompetent on the level of, I remember going to the theaters because I saw this opening weekend, and I was there with my wife at the time and a friend of ours, because we were all big Avatar fans. And I remember slowly sinking deeper and deeper and deeper into my seat. And there's a point, it's one of the first earthbending scenes where you realize the visual effects are not even synced up right to the motions that the actors are doing. That's like basic filmmaking competence. Fortunately, that's the worst he's gotten. He's kind of, After Earth was after that. It's also a really fucking bad movie. And again, features a very charismatic actor, Will Smith, doing a really bad muted performance.
So you're saying that I shouldn't have that as my only Avatar experience?
Last Airbender? Fuck no.
It's not Avatar, it's Avatar. Ong. Like that's
That'd
how
be
they
funny,
pronounce
though.
it.
It's no. I really like Avatar: The Last Airbender. I love Legend of Korra. We're Screen 2ing this, but that's fine. I have yet to see the Netflix show.
Not good. Don't bother.
That is my understanding. That's why I have not seen the Netflix show.
Not M. Night Shyamalan bad, but still not good.
Fair. And then there's the animated film that, as we speak, is recently leaked online.
I ran into that earlier this morning.
I've heard really good things about it. So maybe it's good. But no, Last Airbender, it's barely an Avatar film. Like, it covers the storyline, but I have so much disdain for that movie. I almost through force of will want it not to be associated with the franchise.
I never associate with the franchise.
But since then, I've honestly generally liked his movies. The Visit was a surprise because it reminded us that Shyamalan can be good. It's not my favorite, but it's solid. We will get into Split. Glass is a little bit of a disappointment for me, but it has its moments. Old was fine, and then his last couple, Knock at the Cabin and Trap, I legitimately enjoyed. Trap is one that I do want us to cover at some point, because the most implausible, like, nonsense script, but unlike The Happening or A Lady in the Water, he knows it, and you just have to accept it going in, because he makes it clear right off the bat that no, we are not going for like leave your suspension of disbelief, go into it full force and just enjoy how wild that movie is, and Josh Hartnett's performance. So yeah, he's a very up and down director for me, is what I'm saying. In far too many words. But yeah, Split is, I don't remember if I saw it when it came out, because I had sworn off Shyamalan after Earth, and then I think I had seen The Visit before Split came out, and I was like, okay, that was good, but this is still the guy who made Lady in the Village, Lady in the Water, Happening, Last Airbender, and After Earth in a row. A broken watch is right twice a day. after The Village and Lady in the Water and The Happening and Last Airbender and After Earth, I had pretty much given up on him at that point. But yeah, like I said, The Visit kind of brought me back. And then Split, like I said, I don't know if I saw it in the theaters, but I saw it soon after at the very least. And on my first watch, I had some issues with it, and we'll get into those because those issues remain. But overall, I think I really liked it. And my thoughts on that, we'll get into that. But before we get into the film itself, Elle, tell us a little bit about the production history here.
All right, so Split is written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan, starring James McAvoy, Anya Taylor-Joy, Haley Lou Richardson, Jessica Sulo, and Betty Buckley. The genesis for Split comes from Shyamalan's 2000 movie Unbreakable, the film that stars Bruce Willis as a man who learns he has superhuman powers and Samuel L. Jackson as the person who helps him discover them. Unbreakable originally had the character of Kevin Wendell Crumb, but he was cut from the film because there wasn't enough time to develop him. That film was a hit when it was released, and 15 years later, Shyamalan decided to revisit the character and develop a film around him. Shyamalan always intended this film to be set in the same universe as Unbreakable, but there was one problem. Unbreakable was owned by Disney, and he was under a distribution deal with Universal. So he asked Disney to allow him to use Bruce Willis's character of David Dunn, and they agreed to do so without a fee, as long as, should a sequel be made, Disney was involved in producing it. Split is the second film that Shyamalan self-financed, a practice that he began with The Visit in 2015 when his career was on the skids. The Visit was a hit and began the self-funding practice, which Shyamalan has continued to this day. James McAvoy was the first person cast, followed by Anya Taylor-Joy and the rest of the cast. It was shot in Philadelphia, as is with most of Shyamalan's films. The production was fairly smooth, beyond McAvoy accidentally breaking his hand during a scene where he was supposed to hit a metal door and missed the padded bit he was aiming for. To protect the fact that this is an Unbreakable sequel, Shyamalan did not include the final scene in the script, nor in test screenings. Split was released on January 20th, 2017, after an initial premiere at Fantastic Fest the previous September. This proved to be Shyamalan's full-fledged comeback after a string of failures and the moderate success of The Visit. It scored with critics, earning a 79% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. It grossed $138.3 million and $278.5 million worldwide against a $9 million budget. The success of Split led to Shyamalan making Glass in 2019, which combined the characters of Unbreakable and Split into one film. And a couple of fun facts, Shyamalan has his traditional director's cameo as Jai, the concierge of the apartment building where Dr. Fletcher works. Joaquin Phoenix was originally going to play the lead, but couldn't agree on contract terms. And Sterling K. Brown had a role as Fletcher's neighbor, but his scenes were ultimately cut from the film.
Can I just say, before we get into content warning and plot synopsis, thank fucking God. I like Joaquin Phoenix, fine. But thank fucking God he was not able to come to terms on films. Because I don't feel like... We'll talk about McAvoy's performance. But seeing how Joaquin Phoenix handled Arthur Dent, I believe is the name that they use for him, in The Joker, compared to how McAvoy does Crumb. I think we dodged a bullet with this film in terms of the performance. But yeah. So content warning on this. Surprisingly, more than I would have remembered on revisiting it. There is discussion of, and depiction is not the right word for it, but allusion to sexual abuse. There is certainly a lot about mental health depictions here. Child abuse. There is I would say, a brief scene involving some claustrophobic stuff and depiction of self-harm scars. So this film,
How about if I take this one? We open in Philadelphia at a birthday party for a teen girl named Claire, played by Hayley Lou Richardson. Her friend Marcia, Jessica Sula, is hanging out with her with their classmate outsider Claire. We open in Philadelphia at a birthday party for a teen girl named Claire, played by Hayley Lou Richardson. Her friend Marcia, Jessica Sula, is hanging out with her with their classmate outsider Casey, played by Anya Taylor-Joy, nearby. Casey's dad goes to take them all home when a man knocks the dad unconscious, then drugs and kidnaps the three girls. When they wake up, they find themselves in a locked cellar. They are the captives of Dennis, who we learn in fairly short order is one of the alters of Kevin, played by James McAvoy, a man who has dissociative identity disorder. Kevin has 23 alters, and the girls figure that out when they meet Patricia, who, along with Dennis, are considered dangerous by the alter Barry, who has tried to keep them from being in control. However, Patricia and Dennis have solicited the help of a 9-year-old alter named Hedwig to shut out the others so that they can be in the light, as they call it. The girls learn that Patricia and Dennis have kidnapped them to be sacrificed to yet another alter known as the Beast. While Claire and Marcia panic and try to figure out ways to escape, Casey is able to take in the situation more calmly and patiently, and even tries to befriend Hedwig in order to convince him to help them escape. Claire attempts to escape through a panel in the ceiling, but gets caught and locked in a separate room. Meanwhile, Dennis attends sessions with Barry's therapist Karen Fletcher, played by Betty Buckley, pretending to be Barry. Marcia eventually tries to attack Patricia while she is making food for her and Casey, hitting her with a chair and then trying to run. Patricia shifts over to Dennis, who recaptures Marcia and separates her as well. Dennis attends another therapy session with Dr. Fletcher, and we learn that Kevin, the original personality, was abused by his mother. Dr. Fletcher is also able to see through the ruse and realizes that Dennis is the one in control. Casey, who we learn was sexually abused by her uncle after her father died, persuades Hedwig to take her to his bedroom, where she uses his CB radio to call for help, but is subsequently subdued by Patricia. Dr. Fletcher starts to suspect that Dennis is responsible for the kidnappings and goes over to his house, but is captured by Dennis. He leaves and the Beast takes over, returning and crushing Dr. Fletcher in a bear hug before killing and feeding on Marcia and Claire. Casey tries to escape and finds a note from Dr. Fletcher about how saying Kevin's full name will bring him to the front or into the light. She does so, and a horrified Kevin asks Casey to kill him. The Beast returns, and she injures him with a shotgun. The Beast notices scars on Casey from the signs of abuse and says that she is, quote, pure, and decides to spare her. He leaves, and Casey is rescued, seeming like she may tell a police officer about her uncle's abuse. As Dennis, Patricia, and Hedwig remain in control of Kevin, we then see a diner where David Dunn, played by Bruce Willis, overhears people talking about Kevin's media nickname of the Horde, and mentions another criminal who was imprisoned years ago named Mr. Glass, revealing this all to be a secret sequel to Unbreakable.
All right, so let's get into the movie itself. I think the main thing to talk about with this film, and there's some other stuff that we'll obviously get into, but this is a DID film. A condition that let's be the most generous we possibly can and say, has a spotty history of how it's been depicted in narrative fiction, period. But Hollywood specifically, and pretty much everywhere else. It should be noted, I think, Split got a lot of criticism at the time, and has in the years since, for its approach to DID. Obviously, in terms of you have, our main character, who is the antagonist, portrayed as a violent, dangerous person. At the same time, it's also received a not insubstantial amount of praise from some avenues, because it is one of the first mainstream films to actually use the term DID, and I realize this is a low-ass fucking bar, but it does display more nuance to the topic than a lot of other depictions in narrative media. Al, you obviously, this is something that you have experience with, that we've talked about before. How do you feel about the film's approach to DID in general?
It did catch me a bit by surprise with how, like, they were describing it, like the one altar helping to choose who takes the light, which is, I mean, that's a poetic way of saying fronting,
right?
Which is the more communal, appropriate or accepted term, I guess.
Yes.
Because for like myself, that's almost how I picture it, like internally as well. I don't have any of the dissociative elements, like the amnesia kind of parts.
Right.
But that is how it feels to me. Is like, for some reason, like my brain's dressed it up more. It's, if you imagine a State of the Union address, except without the very obvious "This is America" exclusive symbolism,
right.
But still podium, some bannerage on a stage, and others off to the side. And yeah, that's what it feels like, someone approaching the podium to talk. So having it described like that, I would assume by people who aren't experiencing it firsthand, was fascinating. That it's like, oh, this is a clear enough depiction out there that they are able to reference this. Now, obviously, I don't know how well the other science behind it comes to it.
Right.
I say science in the loosest of terms, because it's, someone who's blind has an alter who isn't, so they regrow their optical nerves, or even it's like, oh, one alter has to have insulin shots. So I am not educated enough to to speak to any authority on that. But in terms of I think the switching was well done, because I do know other systems who have that sort of hard, like, cut
right
to when someone else is fronting. But for others, it's a lot more subtle, where you get that it's more like a flowing blend between, and then it like shifts. Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely something that had more research than I think would have been justified amongst the mainstream.
Right.
But it is appreciated that they did.
Yeah. And I will say it off the top, I do still revisiting it, and this is probably the first time I've seen it since 2016, 2017, whenever I saw it. I do still very much like this film. But so there are definitely some, I would say, problematic elements to this. But I will also kind of defend the film in saying that this stuff, I mean, this is 10 years later, and it's still not how to put it? It's still not a well understood condition. Right?
Yeah. It at least got updated in the DSM for the latest edition to not be multiple personality disorder.
Which was, when did that happen?
Oh, jeez. Now you're putting me on the loop. 2013 was the 5th edition.
So it had essentially just been done.
Yeah. And even then, they did a revision of a large part of it in 2022. Right. So even the version that was the 2013 release wasn't to the expected standards that it should have been.
Right. And I will, there's a lot that we can talk about in terms of, yes, this is obviously a very Hollywoodized version of this. And in general, how do you, the notion of using this to create a supervillain type character, is that something that, how do you feel about how that kind of thing is generally approached, and how do you think this one does it?
I think it works decently well.
Okay.
Because you can have the same kind of personality emerging in anyone.
Right.
It just happens to be that the way the movie presents it is it's able to be shut off or partitioned away and things like that.
Right.
But I mean, serial killers do exist.
Right.
Not every serial killer has DID or any sort of disorder along those lines, any dissociative problems.
Right.
So it's not a 1 = 2 necessity.
Mm-hmm.
So it's it's a law of numbers.
Right.
If you have alters, basically, you have a more likely chance of having a different personality emerge.
Mm-hmm.
And with people, that could be good, that could be bad. It could be this, that, or the other. It's not an inherent necessity.
Right.
So it's why not? As long as you're doing it in good faith, then yeah, sure. I mean, hell, the Joker exists in the world of Batman.
Yeah. No, that's entirely fair. I guess
supervillains can happen.
I guess I think in good faith, that's a key phrase. I don't know how much good faith Shyamalan had at this point. Or still has now, because honestly, some people have never gotten over the legendary string of bad movies that he did.
Apparently, he is a full believer that it is extant as a proper mental condition. So, and then going through the extra lengths of researching, is I would be more inclined to believe that it had been at least attempted in good faith.
Yes.
And not just blindly, oh, we can do this to make a fun twist.
I will say one thing that does, I don't know if bothers, I mean, yes, it bothers me, but I don't know if it necessarily affects the quality of the film much, is my understanding, and I wasn't able to find specifics on this for this discussion, but my understanding is he did not do a lot of consultation on this. He kind of did I did my own research thing, which in 2026, we all know do your own research is definitely going to lead to the right answers, right?
Yeah.
So it kind of bothers me, and that's whenever I think of Shyamalan's movies, the guy's is a fairly arrogant person. I think anybody who's read more than like one or two interviews with him knows that. So not necessarily getting the consultation, again, understanding this is 2014, 2015 when he was writing the script. It was still debated at that point. Even if he had consulted it, he could have gotten bad information. It would have been nice for him to do that kind of thing. I don't know if it would have affected, and I don't know that necessarily. I think it ends up okay on the film, in the film, even not having done that, but best practices, dude. Holly, how do you feel about how this is depicted?
That's my answer. Very conflicting feelings.
Fair.
They tried. I'll give them that much. And it is good that it was able to raise awareness.
Right.
Through this film. I'm not on board with the concept that DID people suddenly get superpowers and like that you can just become a mindless killer. I'm not. Especially by the time the beast appeared, I was done.
Okay. That's fair. And I do get that. Like, good intentions don't necessarily don't necessarily resolve impact necessarily.
I can offer a little bit of a perspective, I think, on that as well. Come to think of it, because I have one alter that is essentially non-verbal.
Okay.
So whenever they start to front more, I can hear music better.
Mm-hmm.
Like it feels like I am understanding the actual melody and everything stronger.
Right.
But like the lyrics and like language is a little bit more distant in my mind.
Got it.
And conversely, I have another one that is more eloquent, more well-spoken. And whenever they're fronting, I am much better at understanding spoken word.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like I am able to remember bigger words and more of them, and am just better at communicating. But at the same time, music goes away a little bit.
Right.
It's not like any hard cuts or anything like would have been obvious for if it existed, the person who was blind or hard of sight just suddenly getting it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like the volume dials go up and down a little bit.
Okay. Fair.
So that's what I mean. It's like if someone had actually done research into this phenomena outside of a movie, I would be a little bit willing to look into it.
Right. And
but it feels very fictional.
Yeah, 100%. And there has, my understanding, I have not done a large amount of research on this. My understanding is, there are different capabilities, and that obviously not on the level of the Beast and becoming fucking Spider-Man and that sort of thing, but like there are people, different alters needing to wear glasses or not, or left-handed versus right-handed and stuff like that. So at least my understanding is there is some basis for that. And I understand the Holly, the notion of like there's a problematic aspect to that, right?
Yes, sorry, I'm nodding. You can't see me.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm curious. Did either of you guys? I'm guessing the answer is no. But did either of you guys ever watch Legion on FX?
No.
I heard the name of it, but I've never seen it.
Holly, I know you're a comic book reader. Did you ever? I don't remember if you were a big X-Men reader or not.
No, that was more my dad. I mean, I know stuff, but
right. Legion, the FX series, which by the way is very good, is an adaptation of the X-Men character, who is Charles Xavier's son, David Haller, who has DID and is a mutant, and each of his alters has a different mutant power. The reason I bring that up is here would be my counter for there's absolutely a problematic concern about this character has DID, so they are a dangerous person because of it, and that sort of thing. As a queer person, I understand the notion of problematic characters being giving the impression to an uneducated viewer as being dangerous. But I also get sort of what you said about the game of numbers, right?
Yeah.
And just like, there. How am I trying to put this?
You have more people per person, and that can be statistically representative in a population size of any number.
Right. Now, I will say this film does not have another character. We get some exposition about it from Dr. Fletcher, but we don't have another character to offer a counterpoint necessarily to Kevin. But I don't think it ever feels like to me that this movie is saying because Kevin has DID, they are dangerous. Or like somebody with DID having superpowers, it doesn't necessarily feel to me that the DID is the cause of his supernatural powers. It's just a world where supernatural stuff can happen, and he is somebody who happens to have both. Like it doesn't feel like the supernatural is the cause of the dissociative identity disorder, which makes it feel better to me.
In the superpowers lottery, he got 24 turns at the
exactly.
And basically everyone else would just get one.
Yep. But there's also the question of how well that is necessarily depicted in the film. I think it works okay for me, but I can absolutely understand where it's not going to work well for you, particularly if you go into this film, like I think you guys both probably did, not knowing that there was going to be that superpower, supernatural kind of element to it. Because Split very much presents itself as, oh, this is just a grounded thriller about a at best, you might know, it's a grounded thriller about a serial killer who also has DID. And then all of a sudden he's climbing the walls.
So I think they laid just enough groundwork to add to the fact that, oh, it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
That those aspects were able to be sort of glossed over in that.
Fair enough.
It's like, it doesn't necessarily need to be, you know, a superhero connected movie. It's like, oh, they mentioned, you know, the couple of people that have different abilities biologically with DID. And then, as I said, the showing, I think it was Jade was the alter in question. It's like, why am I the only one that has to like have insulin shots? So like those combined with the meta knowledge of, oh, it's a horror movie, so there is a chance something supernatural could happen above and beyond just the psychological aspects. Right. Like those combined with my head going, okay, yeah, no, that's believable. It's a bit of a stretch, but okay, I'm willing to go along with it.
It's horror. It's a horror, or at least it is. I mean, we can debate how much of it is horror and how much of it is thriller, because that's always a fun debate. Or how much of it is horror, how much of it is superhero type stuff. But it's an enhanced world, right?
Yeah, it didn't need to be billed as a superhero adjacent film for that to be credible with the work that they did.
Absolutely fair. How about James McAvoy's performance specifically? Like if you know, not necessarily the character as a whole, how did you like his performance as Kevin the Horde? This is the one thing that really bugs me about this film, is there is not a really good way to call him. Because the film is, I don't know how he is credited. I probably should have checked this. I don't know how he's credited in the credits.
As like each individual alter that gets brought up.
Okay.
Because I think we only end up seeing 8 different ones out of the 24.
Correct. I'm oddly impressed that that Shyamalan actually credited each alter individual. Well, I'm assuming it wasn't James McAvoy as this, James McAvoy as this. Like, I'm assuming it was like a bunch of slashes.
No, it was because it was a scrolling list. It just had the character names and then James McAvoy to the right, centered on those 8 names.
Huh? Fair enough. I'll be honest, I did not expect that, but fair. Anyways, sorry, I've already distracted from even the question I asked. Holly, how do you feel about his performance here?
I think his performance is pretty good overall. I think he does a good job with the different personalities. Yeah, and you can clearly tell when he is switching, like the different ones.
And there's the one scene with Dennis and the doctor, where Dennis is pretending to be Barry.
Yes.
the nuance there was really goddamn good, I thought. Yeah, no, I even stuff that I have issues with this film, because there are a few, and we'll get into some of those when we start talking about Casey. I don't want to jump too far ahead, but yeah, I think even if there's stuff about this film that doesn't necessarily land, I don't think his performance can be faulted. Al, how do you feel about it? About his performance here? Was there anything in particular that you picked up about it? Particular moments that you were a fan of, stuff that didn't necessarily land?
I mean, I think, as I mentioned, is when it's a little bit more obvious that his switching is it is a little bit overdone, a little bit over dramatic.
Right.
But I think that is because it is a film. You do sort of need to portray that.
Yeah.
Like, you do need to exaggerate it a little bit in some case.
Yeah.
But I also noticed when, like, as you said, when in the doctor's office, Dennis is pretending to be Barry, he over-exaggerates it as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's then that leads to the dissociative nature, where they don't have a full, clear connection of how to flawlessly portray it.
Right.
Because you can see in the sort of video journals after that he isn't as, I don't know if this is going to be the right word or anything, but as effeminate.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Dennis going off incomplete information is having to try and guess at it and goes that little bit too far.
Yes.
Although that's not what other people pick up on, to be fair. But it is an interesting note.
Yeah, there is a level of nuance in Dennis's Barry, and there are other parts. There are other parts of this performance, obviously. This is just the one that really, for me, grabbed my attention. He is femming it up a little bit overly, and it's just enough that you can bite, even if, like, the things that he's saying, it's pretty well telegraphing that it's not Barry at that point, but there is just enough that it doesn't quite feel right. And then the moment where Fletcher sort of catches him finally, he switches over, is really, really phenomenal. I think if there are elements of the performance that I'm not quite as on board with, I'd be curious to hear you guys' take. I think the Patricia performance is good, but I couldn't even put my finger on it. Something about it just didn't necessarily land the best with me. And this one, I don't know if it's just me. Whether we're supposed to feel uncomfortable with it, but I didn't love the Hedwig performance.
Yeah. I did genuinely laugh, though, when he kissed her and said, "You might be pregnant now."
Oh yeah, no. There's some good humor in this, and I think, again, I don't know if I don't think either of them are bad performances. They just, and maybe they're supposed to unsettle me, but they feel off-putting in particular ways. And like, if you want to talk intersectionality, the notion of the intersection between DID and gender identity, that's complex as fuck. And I would not expect a film, particularly a film from M. Night Shyamalan, to handle that perfectly. I don't know, partially because I don't know what I don't know, but I don't know necessarily how I feel about the Patricia performance, I guess.
I think my only issue with the Patricia character, such as it is that she feels too aware for her role. Because we see that Dennis has the blackouts, the loss of time and whatnot. So she feels like she's too close to the surface to be as easily controlled as the story wants us to believe.
Mm-hmm. Fair. I can see
and that. If that's the case, I would have expected that character to feel stronger.
Okay.
Not necessarily like physically strong, but just more solid.
Right.
So it's a good depiction if she wasn't as connected to everything.
Okay. I can see that.
Yeah, like with the Hedwig character, the 9-year-old boy equivalent, he's recently, my understanding is he's recently taken the gatekeeper role, helping to decide, who gets to front and who doesn't, and controlling that sort of thing, where I believe it was Barry that had that before. Correct. From what I could understand. I would expect him to be sort of holding back weirdly, like, because he's not used to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I mean, at the end of the day, all of them have their own little affectations and presentations that help build those characters out of one actor.
Absolutely. And they are, I think that McAvoy is doing a good job. I guess, and again, I guess we're supposed to feel uncomfortable, like, that feels, I guess Patricia almost feels like where I think it starts to get a little bit fuzzy about good intent. If that makes sense.
Patricia strikes me as the kind of character that it's like you have in good faith and with all the understanding in the world allowed a Mormon to come and have a cup of tea instead of just talking at the door.
Mm-hmm.
And you are starting to get uncomfortable with the preaching. Or at least the proselytizing.
A little bit, yes. It's like,
because they viewed the beast as this not religious but idealistic character to look up to, and they are almost the like the apostles.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where some of that discomfort comes from, I think.
There is part of that. It's also like, again, understanding that how gender identity and dissociative identity disorder interplay is, I'm not going to expect Shyamalan to understand that. Like, to be perfect on that, I will put it that way. Patricia,
I mean, hell, remove the DID aspect. I don't know if I'd trust him to understand like gender issues.
Not necessarily, no. I would have a little more trust with him on that than I would with DID. But regardless, to me, and I know it feels a little weird saying this when I'm like, oh yeah, but dissociative identities, or is this character necessarily problematic on the surface? It feels to me like James McAvoy in an effeminate tone, wearing more femme clothing, is played to make it more disturbing. And that's where I say I feel like the intent gets a little bit murky, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, I also believe there's that aspect of we need to make things more obvious and louder,
of course,
for the people in the back, because of it is a movie.
Yes, it's shorthand, and I understand that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not saying like, no, fuck this. This is terrible. And again, McAvoy's performance of it is good.
Yeah, so that's why I feel like everything, like even like every alter is just that little bit more than it needs to be for reality, because it isn't reality.
Yep. And Hedwig, I think I don't think that that's a problematic thing. I think it's probably actually a good it's a good depiction, in that the stuff that makes me particularly uncomfortable is how he interacts with the girls, and how the girls interact with him. Like, there's a lot of complexity and nuance in that. I don't know if necessarily the script is the best at handling that nuance all the time. Let's be honest, Casey absolutely how to put it. Casey absolutely manipulates him in a perhaps somewhat uncomfortable way. And the fact that it's a 9-year-old alter, there's some weird elements of that, and I don't know if it's disturbing.
It can read a little problematic.
Yeah, it's disturbing and problematic, but the question is that the point? Like, if it's unknowingly problematic, it's just Shyamalan saying, oh yeah, this is how it's going to play, and it comes off as disturbing without, with him thinking it's fine, that's one thing. That's not good. But if he's interested in exploring the what this means exactly, I don't know how well that's represented.
Yeah, because it's also like, is it still problematic when it's viewed as a survival tactic?
Right. Yep.
Because it's like, how many movies are there out there where it's, if you if you come here, I'll give you a kiss so I can steal the keys, or whatever, to break out of this. Is that still as much of a sexual assault,
right,
as it would be otherwise?
Like, if
by definition it is, but in that survival scenario, are there grace periods? Are there leeways?
Yep. Is I don't know if they ever say specifically how old the Claire Murray and Casey are, but let's say 17. 17 seems about right. Is a 17-year-old, I mean, there's not much of other way to put it, leading on a 9-year-old, problematic when it's a self-defense thing, and it's a 9-year-old who is the alter of a 35-year-old. it's an interesting question, and I guess the question is, do we think that the film is trying to tackle it, or just like actually explore that, or just do it?
I wouldn't give them the credit to that. I don't think.
Fair.
It feels like that is an issue that could be viewed through it, but isn't actually the intent of having any of that in there.
Fair. That's fair. Which doesn't necessarily make the film bad because of it. It's just like there are a lot of films out there where we go into huge discussions about what does this mean and that, and when they ultimately ask the directors, like, yeah, I chose red because I thought that was the color of the paint that we had available. Like,
yeah, or it's like, oh, here's this movie about a big like race riot. Let's have a discussion about economics.
Right.
That could be a factor, but it's unlikely to be given the story focus.
Or like films with queer reads to it, or like all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, it is an interesting discussion in terms of intent versus impact there. Speaking of intent versus impact, we're talking a lot about mental health and a very heavily misunderstood condition. Now let's talk about sexual abuse.
Very light topics today.
From fun to fun.
Yeah. So this is a film, and this is something I have a lot of thoughts about this, but at its core, I think that Split is a film about surviving and how you handle trauma, and also a Shyamalan superhero thriller, etc. And Casey is sort of the counter to Kevin on that. She uses it essentially to survive, to stay calm, to navigate the situation. It leads to her ultimately surviving because the beast decides that she is pure, which that's a thing. And Kevin is also, as we learn, a victim of child abuse. Not necessarily sexual child abuse, but definitely abuse. Holly, how do you feel it handles this stuff?
I mean, it gets the point across. Like, I don't know.
So does it? Do you think that it is handling these topics in a responsible way? Do you think that they work within the context of the film? And is there anything about it that you particularly like, or that particularly puts you off about how it's handled?
I mean, I just don't actually like seeing it, or they didn't go into horrible detail, but when he said let's play animals, I knew exactly what was about to happen. So I mean, it did a good job in like giving me the creeps,
right?
Especially with him, and like off-putting. I mean, I think again, it does get the point across. It does. I do like how they do it throughout the film, how there are like the moments of her reflecting back on the situations, and then that is showing how she's going to handle the situation she is currently in. I think that worked really well.
Okay.
I have some issues with some of it.
And that it is entirely fair. I have some issues with some. I think I'll get into mine. But no, that is entirely fair. Al, what do you think about how this handles the notion of the trauma in general? How does it play for you? How do you think he tackles it? Again, a very tricky, nuanced subject for the guy who made The Happening.
I actually struggled to make the connection about how it was relevant.
Okay.
Like, and even until like the end, like when it caught up, basically, it was just like, okay, well, are they going to do anything with it? Because I think that could have been an actual useful. So I know that like Shyamalan's known for the twist,
right?
I think that could have been an excellent way to use those scenes more than just as a connective backstory.
Okay.
Because the way I would have done it is that, like, when she's got the, like, as the young kid got the gun focused on the uncle, have her, like, unsure of how to hold it. That way, when you go back to when she's trying to run from the beast, she can have that same unsure and then have an alter switch in who is able to have that control. Because you can, like, the traumagenic systems form.
Okay,
trauma.
I see what you're saying. Like, if you were to essentially present Casey as having the ID.
Yeah. Which is then, like, using, I guess, almost having that as a separate point of information about people with DID in this movie. So you can show it as, okay, no, they can actually be protective alters and helpful.
That's a fair point.
This is the alter that retained the information from her father about how to shoot and track with the gun, which I'm surprised didn't come up, really.
I think, well,
like a little bit, but it didn't feel like that connected enough to the story. And that's how I would have made it to connect.
Fair. I mean, I think that is, how am I trying to say this? I think
stupid, and I should feel bad.
What?
Stupid, and I should feel bad for suggesting it?
No. It's. I think that would have been a really interesting way to take it. I don't know that. I don't know that I would have ever expected M. Night Shyamalan to do that. And that's not even on him. That is, again, 2015. How much were we understanding about it at that point?
Yeah,
and I might be giving too much credit to it. Like 2015, there's been a lot more understanding in the past 11 years about a DID, but it's not like there was no understanding of it at that point. But I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily. I agree. It would have been really cool if an interesting direction for it if that was what happened with Casey. I just don't know if that was capable of happening at that point. Honestly, I don't know if the movie would have even necessarily been made at that point, because maybe, well, it would have been made because he self-financed it, but I don't know if it would have been picked up at that point, because studio heads being like, well, that's too complex, that's too much information. I don't get it, that sort of thing. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of good stuff in how Casey's character is laid out. I do like that she is kind of a counterbalance to Kevin, in that she has endured trauma, a very different sort of trauma than he has, that we know of. And she uses might not necessarily be the right phrasing, but she relies on what she has learned from that to help her, and to a degree try and protect friends is going to be a strong word, but her Claire and Maria, and try to get them out.
Marsha, I think.
Marsha. Why do I keep saying Maria?
Because it's spelled CIA.
Probably. You're right, Marsha. But so I like the notion of taking your trauma and turning it into a strength, which is, again, frankly, a lot more nuance. And that, again, not a Shyamalan thing, a lot more nuance than I would expect of a Hollywood film. A Hollywood horror thriller and its depiction of the effects of abuse. That stuff I like. I like the flashbacks, like being a particular phrase. You know what I mean. I think they are well done.
Yeah.
They do a good job of connecting the story. I don't necessarily know that I love the fact that it's, okay, I'm going to sleep, now we're going to get this memory, now we're going to see. I think we kind of, maybe it goes on a little. You could have cut those down, or combined those maybe into like 2, and I think it would have been better, because it does kind of hiccup the momentum every time we go back to those.
See, that is another reason I think that could work as establishing her as another person with DID,
Right.
Because of the times and the ways that she's shown opening her eyes.
Very much so.
Very, very similar to how James McAvoy does for Dennis. Like, just the cameras close in and just that slow, like, dawning realization.
Yep.
Not just opening the eyes. That's why I'm like, okay, yeah, I could see that she has the same thing, and this is like her switching back in.
Right. That's fair.
But yeah.
The only thing, the main thing that bothers me about the way that it handles the trauma is the end scene between the Beast and Casey. I'm okay with the fact that Casey does not necessarily, like, even with all of her skill at navigating this situation, I'm okay with the fact that she doesn't outwit him. This is like in a fight between Superman and a normal person, who wins. Like, the dagger.
Whoever the writers decide to.
Yeah, well, yes, absolutely. But narratively, the deck is stacked against her once you put the superpower element in there. Dude's right. She is capable. And I don't think the film ever sells her short that way. Like if this was a non-powered serial killer, she would have gotten free. She would have killed him. But there is something icky to me about, I don't even know that icky is the right word, but there's something, again, disconcerting and not necessarily in a narrative way about you are damaged, therefore you are pure. And that sort of thing. And I understand this is from the perspective of the beast and not necessarily a directorial statement. But I don't necessarily think that the difference between those gets delineated very well, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get that.
Like I guess I'm not sure what is trying to be said there, because it's clearly a message moment, and whether you love Shyamalan or you hate him, when it's time for his message, it's clear it's the message. And I feel like that's what this is. And I'm not entirely sure what he's trying to say. That's where it feels not entirely successful to me, is the nicest way I will put that. That said, this is, I think, the second time I'd ever seen Anya Taylor-Joy. And we will eventually cover the first time, which is The Witch.
Oh, I thought it was me.
No. I was firmly a fan of hers by that point. No, it's The Witch, which we will cover, and I will say it again, Ellie, you will hate that movie so much.
Well, I mean, probably won't be the worst thing I've ever seen for this podcast.
You're gonna poke that bear forever, aren't you?
It makes the cutest roaring noise.
We'll just wait till next time, because I have no idea next time on either of you.
That will be interesting. No, it's just it is the epitome of a slow burn, and it is obsessed with time period accuracy. And I think it's going to drive you up the wall that way. But it is a brilliant movie. But no, this was the film that solidified to me. I really liked The Witch. This was the film that solidified to me that, oh no, this actress is fucking going somewhere. How do you, Holly, what do you think of her performance? What do you think of how she interacts with how she interacts with the other actors and characters, how she's pulling off what is honestly a very tricky character?
Honestly, I think she's the best thing about the movie. She does a great job. I did double take for a minute when the film started, because she was the way they have her, the look and everything, she was pulling a Bella Swan. But
a little bit, yeah.
but that's fine because she's under that look. She's not Kristen Stewart. I have my own feelings there, but
that's where we will argue, because say what you will, Twilight is what it is. I am a fucking Kristen Stewart fan.
I like her in some stuff. It's not like M. Night Shyamalan. It's a
right.
There are some things beyond Twilight I don't like her in, but but she has done very, she's done 100%. Well. She's done outstanding performances in some movies. So
Twilight was. If you put Anya Taylor-Joy in that role, she would give a bad performance.
Yeah. I mean, Twilight just sucked.
Bella Swan is not a character that can be acted well. Anyway.
But yes, not Bella Swan.
Yes.
Casey. She did really well. I liked her interactions with the different personalities, and she was clearly the survivor from the very beginning. And which girl? I'm mixing up the names on the two girls.
Claire was the blonde.
Okay, so not Claire. It's Marcia, right?
Marcia.
Yeah. You could tell Marcia was like, I'm sticking with Casey because, like, Claire may be my friend and I'm clinging to her here, but she's going off of Casey. She was the smarter of the two. She's like,
Casey knows what's up.
Yeah, she's like, Casey knows how to survive. I am going to take her lead.
Yep. No, 100%. And I will say, I'm really the other actors, Claire, Marcia, Dr. Fleury, they're all fine. They all give good performances. Jessica Sula and Haley Richardson, they're fine. They're not characters to me.
Yeah.
I mean, they're characters, but they're not people to me. They don't have enough time dedicated to really matter much.
In my opinion, they're more like the viewer watching it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, they're not, but you know what I'm saying. They're more,
right.
And I guess more how you would expect girls to react that have just been kidnapped.
Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, they're fine. I don't have any. I don't think any of them are either Claire or Marcia are annoying in the bad way.
I mean, Claire just does not understand the rules. That's why she got caught first.
Because, like Dennis said, I think it's Dennis. No, like one of Kevin Salters says, both Claire and Marcia, Claire particularly, have never had any struggles.
Yeah.
So they don't know how to navigate the situation.
But it annoyed me when it it obviously sounded like someone was returning when Claire was like starting to dig at the ceiling.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, okay, stop. You found something. Investigate it later.
Yep.
This is not a good... What? You think they're going to barricade the door like forever? This is not a good plan.
Right. No, it was not. Yeah, for sure. Elle, how did you feel about Anya Taylor-Joy, and I guess about the other characters' performances as well? Was there any of the supporting performances that stood out to you, and obviously her?
Again, sort of not really. The other two girls, it's like, yeah, they were in the movie.
Yeah.
That is as much as I think I could say about them. Whereas for like the character of Casey, like Anya Taylor-Joy, is like, I was waiting for the other shoe to drop one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Because like early on, even after a flashback or two, I was expecting her to reveal it's like, oh, this is actually her father, like instead of just a different person altogether.
Okay.
I think it, like, I might have gotten confused because there's Kevin,
Right.
and I think that's the name of her father that got mentioned once.
Possibly. I don't remember his name.
I think there was the connection that my brain made, and it's like, okay, so I'm waiting for them to ask her. It's like, oh, how did you know that would have stopped?
Right.
Stopped for the assault, or why are you so calm about this? Something like that would have led to the shoe drop of, oh, because that's my father.
Mm-hmm.
But even after that, it's like, okay, then that's not it. Okay, I can see where it's being built up as she has DID, just not as strongly. So we're waiting for the reveal there. But then none of that came to fruition.
Right.
So it felt like she was a little bit too underperformative for the story that we ended up getting.
I will push back against that. I understand where you're saying with that, but that's also it is muted a little bit, but that's also very
it's trauma, survival, it's shock.
Yeah, it reads very much as this is a character. I think, and I don't remember because this was 10 years ago, and I've seen it a couple of times since and so on. I feel like I pegged that character very early on as a sexual abuse survivor. Because that is sort of a hallmark of that. That is hallmark behavior of that kind of abuse. Not universally, obviously, but so
I guess then that aspect didn't quite land for me because it's like I felt she was almost too stoic for the end result. It's like, looking back at it, I can see that is the source of it, but it almost feels like there's not enough that has happened to her, or she doesn't do enough with it, in my interpretation.
Okay. Fair enough.
It still was a good performance.
Right, no, for sure.
But yeah, it's just like like I've mentioned before, the sort of the volume dial was a bit off.
Right.
In the audio mix.
Fair enough. So this film is a lot of genres. It's a thriller. It's horror. It's a horror film. It's a superhero film. Kind of. Actually, no. Fuck that kind of. It's a superhero film. It's a supervillain film, but it's a superhero film. Holly, how do these different genres how do they play to you? Like, obviously the horror stuff is its own thing. These are all very specific, very sort of formalized genres. How did that mix work for you?
Just the supervillain, it does not work for me. Thriller, some horror, like, that's fine. I thought it was more just going to be like, I didn't know the superhero thing would be in there,
right?
Or supervillain.
And to be fair, it's very subtle in that respect. I think you would only. This is a film that I think benefits from probably having seen Unbreakable first, because that sort of establishes going into this film. If you've seen Unbreakable, I think it's probably easier to pick up on the supervillains or superhero stuff because that's also a very grounded thriller approach to superhero things. So that would prime you for what Shyamalan does.
Right. But I'm with it as like a kidnapping thriller film.
Right.
They really didn't need to add the extra stuff in there.
Okay.
They make it an escape film. That I would have liked a lot more.
Okay. Al, how about you? What parts are most effective to you? And is there any sequences that stand out, anything like that?
Yeah, it's definitely giving me the strongest vibe of thriller.
Right.
Like, there are horror elements for sure,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe it's just with my experience or lack thereof with the genre that this doesn't feel like a horror first kind of movie.
It's
like that isn't the forefront.
Right. It's Silence of the Lambs as horror. Kind of thing. Which I will forever say Silence of the Lambs is a horror film, but it is a thriller first and a horror film second.
Yeah.
That sort of thing.
Like there are movies you could have like, it's got 2 or 3 genres.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is the primary one?
Yeah.
And in this case I don't think horror is the headliner.
No, I think it's thriller. I think you're correct there.
I am very surprised that it would be a superhero movie if it wasn't explicitly connected to like Unbreakable.
Oh yeah, no, if it wasn't connected,
if it was
to
the
Unbreakable,
exact same except like just not connected, I would think it like people would be very confused at why it was labeled superhero.
100%. I fully agree. That is how light of a touch the superhero stuff is. Because if you take that last scene, which by the way, I almost asked, did you guys, because it is possible that the credits could start rolling, you could turn it off, and you don't see the David Dunn scene. Because there's only
that was before the credits, at least as far as I saw.
The credits had like just started, I think.
The credits just start. Like there is a beginning of a roll of credits, and it very quickly cuts back. But
I guess I got a different version.
I mean that it's also possible. But it is conceivable that people, I think it's too quickly for it to have happened in the theater. Like people are starting to get up and then all of a sudden you see this thing, but people can still leave during that stuff. If that scene didn't happen, everything about this works could be explainable as horror without superhero. You could explain the Beast being able to climb the walls and being able to bend the bars when he's trying to get to Casey and all that stuff through horror. You wouldn't need to have any supervillain kind of thing there.
And I think that's helped by like the Beast isn't a dramatically CGI like special effects creature.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just is a little bit like bulkier, a little bit veinier.
A little bulkier.
Doesn't even like bending the bars is a major effort.
Yes.
It's not explicitly superhero.
I think I may be wrong because I am often bad at notice. There is a very small amount of CG in that scene where he's bending the bars back. I think possibly, I don't know whether he's wearing contacts, but his pupils or irises are definitely blacker.
I'm also like, for the comparative example is Fraser Crane and X-Men's Beast.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
There is a slight difference that is a little bit subtle that you might miss between the two characters.
Just very subtle. Very subtle.
Just a hint. But yeah, that's what I mean. It's like,
yes,
it didn't go that extreme.
And
so it is credible to just be horror.
Yep. And that is a moment that McAvoy deserves. Is again all the nuance of the switching and that stuff. The way just through expression and physicality of performance, that moment when he's bending those bars, that's legitimately terrifying. And he feels inhuman, and I don't feel like there is much, if any, CGI in that. There might be a little.
And I even I read a little bit for for talking about the sequel, The Glass.
Mm-hmm.
Samuel L. Jackson was like, I'm pretty good at my craft, but watching James McAvoy become different characters and have a full argument with 4 different people is something to see.
Yes.
So it's like, if someone like that is crediting, is bigging you up that much, it's probably worth noticing.
Mm-hmm. And I will say about, I'm just going to really quickly touch on Glass a little bit. Glass is a step down for me, but not because of... Glass is a step down for me because of its ending. Not because of any of the characters, anything like that. I guess my biggest complaint character-wise is they do bring Casey back and she doesn't have a ton to do in it. Which is not necessarily the film's fault, because now we have 3 characters that we're focusing on that are... It's not Casey's story anymore. It's still a solid movie, but it is not... It was a disappointment for me. But yeah, this... I agree with you guys. It's definitely more thriller. The superhero stuff is very light. But I think the horror stuff is good. I think it... Like I said before, at least until Last Airbender, even if he sometimes has traps he falls into as a writer, and his scripts are not necessarily the best all the time, Shyamalan can direct the hell out of a movie for the most part. Again, Last Airbender and The Happening aside. And I think he directs the shit out of this one as well, in a positive way. So before we get into our final thoughts on the film, let's talk a little bit of related recommendations here. If there, Holly, I know it sounds like you probably would not be necessarily recommending this one, but if somebody did like it, what would you recommend to them as maybe something like this or something along these lines?
A far better movie that I would recommend to them would be Silence of the Lambs.
Okay. Yep.
Which again is a horror movie.
Again, is a horror with a lot of thriller. Again, touches on some really problematic shit.
Mm-hmm.
And we will eventually discuss that film, because that's another film. That's one that I unreservedly adore, but also has a very complicated legacy. That will be that will make for some interesting discussion. But yeah, good, absolutely fair. Al, how about you?
So I mean, most of my background is television rather than movie.
Right.
So, Dexter.
Okay.
For sort of the horror elements. And if you just want a little bit more about DID, the United States of Tara.
Interesting. Okay. So you would recommend that as a DID?
If you were going to do a bit of a deeper dive into it, if it's something that is an interesting topic.
Okay.
I don't think I would recommend it as a source of authority on the subject.
No, of course not. I know somebody, I'll be honest, I can't remember who. Somebody who had DID who fucking hated that show because of its depiction.
Understandable.
So, fair enough. I've never seen it.
It is another reference point in one's own personal study.
And that's Toni Collette, correct?
Yes.
Yes. See, I like her a lot.
It's like for this podcast, we don't necessarily watch only the good stuff.
Right. Oh, no, 100%.
There is stuff to talk about even in the bad stuff. So
absolutely.
You might not like the show, but it is worth looking at if you're interested in DID as a conversation piece.
As a conversation piece and as a conversation in media piece. Fair.
Yes.
My related recommendations, again, I already said it, but Glass is if you like this one, it's worth watching it. It's a little bit of a letdown, but it is worth watching. And the one I'm going to recommend, because it's a twist film. I don't think Split is a twist film. This is not one of Shyamalan's twists, because I don't think there's a twist in this movie the way that there is in Unbreakable or Sixth Sense or The Fucking Village.
Which is the new title. I
fucking hate that twist. God, it's such a bad ending.
Oh, do you know where the twist works better? In the book!
I know. But this is, so if you have not seen Barbarian from 2022, it is again, it has more of a thriller element. It doesn't have a twist ending. It halfway through this movie. So the premise of the movie, for people who aren't familiar with it, is Georgina Campbell plays a woman who is travels to Detroit on business and gets an Airbnb that is located in a bad part of town. She goes there, and as she arrives, somebody else comes up who also rented the Airbnb, or claims that he did. And so they agree to share, looks like they rented it out twice. They agree to share it for the night because there's no other hotels that they can get to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then shit happens. And the shit that happens is not the shit that you might expect to happen. It has the same level of intensity, but with surprising amounts of humor in it, like this one does. And it just has kind of the same vibe and approach, even though it's tackling 100% different storyline. Well worth the watch. So let's go into our final thoughts here on Split. Elle, what do you think about it, and what score would you give it?
I mean, it is, in terms of the mental health aspects, it is a product of its time.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to say when it's from 2015.
Right.
Because that's not that long ago, but also feels like fucking years.
I don't care that it's only been 10 years. That's 50 years ago.
It feels like so long ago. But, I mean, ultimately I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I'm hard on trying to work out feelings sometimes.
That's
it
fine.
was a net positive,
Cool.
let's say. I will give it. What am I thinking? For unconventional tracking methods that we should absolutely implement for the mentally unwell.
Fair enough. Holly, how about you? Where are you landing on this?
Didn't like it as much as Elle.
That's fair.
So it did not. Sorry. It did not hit.
No,
for
it's
me
fine
at all, and it's also M. Night Shyamalan, so it already had
Right.
that going against it. I'll give it 2.5 bad escape attempts out of 5.
Fair. Honestly, that's better than I thought you were going to say. I was pegging you somewhere around a 2.
There are some good performances. I'm trying to be nice.
Fair. I am in the middle between you two, trending towards Elle a little bit. I think that it strictly as a thriller, it's very well made. You feel the tension. That's one thing Shyamalan can do, if nothing else. He can wring tension out of a scene like nobody's business. I don't love the sexual abuse stuff. I think that it is handled clumsy, and that's wild considering that we are talking about a film where M. Night Shyamalan is approaching a dissociative identity disorder, and he handles something worse than that. I actually think the DID is handled fairly well from somebody who obviously doesn't have it, and I just think it's a well-made film. I am going with a 3.5 unfortunate favorite rapper references out of 5. Because we did mention Hedwig is a real big fan of Kanye West, which is just a big oof in 2025 or 2026. It's 2026.
How big of an oof was it in 2015?
It was
probably not that far off.
No. Kanye has done a lot in the last 11 years. No, it was fine at that point. He had not done any of the stuff that I don't think. I don't know. Time is a flat circle. Anyways, that is split for us. Holly, let us know what we're going to be covering next episode, because only you can describe this. Specifically because we don't know what the fuck we're getting into.
Yeah. Now for something completely different. We are going to be covering Cinderella's Castle, which is the most recent Team Star Kid show. It is the best way to describe it, I think, is Labyrinth meets Grimm's Fairy Tales.
Delightful.
It's a trip. So we'll see what other people think of that.
Nice. So that's next episode. Meanwhile, if you like what you're hearing, you can find us at whatever podcatcher you prefer. We're on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Final Ghouls Pod.
So, Holly, Jeremy, I have great news. The registration for us as an animal rescue went through. So, if people rate and review 5 stars, we can legally send them a koala. If they don't, we can legally send them a saltwater crocodile.
Perfect. I have extra saltwater crocodiles that I need to get out of here. So, fair.
There's plenty in northern Queensland, as a very upset politician will quite happily rant about instead of what he's meant to be talking about.
Koalas can get pretty dangerous.
Oh no! That seems
only
to be
if they
a trap.
pee on you. You just don't let them piss on you and you catch their chlamydia and you'll be fine.
God damn it. So meanwhile, you can find me at JThomas411Mania on Blue Sky, Letterboxd, and Instagram.
You can find me at shards@kind.social on Mastodon and Shard System on Letterboxd.
Uh, I'm sorry, Jeremy. Jeremy's dead. You can
Yes.
find me at Holly Culp on Blue Sky and Miniature Magic 18 on Instagram.
And you can find us all playing role-playing games at Final Show Films on Twitch and YouTube. Elle, what is our horror book survival guide tip?
Keep the car filled with gas, tuned up, and for God's sake, keep the keys with you.